Hello everyone, Hartreda from It's a Clay here. The video you're about to see covers the floppy flower technique that Lily from Claycat uses to make her beautiful earrings. I'll be posting links below to the cutters that she uses within the video, which is from her own range. There is pre-made flowers that she shows with more ruffled edges, which was made using her own created floral cutters, which I'll also link. I'm just noting this beforehand because it wasn't covered explicitly in the video. Other tools that you need is things that you typically use in your normal claying adventures, stuff such as a needle tool, circle cutters, teardrop cutters, a roller or a pasta machine, and mica pigments. So in general, it's a very accessible technique, and I hope you enjoy the video.
I'm Lily, I'm from Claycat. How my process is going to work today, sorry, I'm a very awkward person. I was thinking that we can do a craft along, like follow me type of style instead of me showing and then doing, or else we're going to take quite a bit of time. I'm going to start by talking first clay. I'm going to talk clay first because this is a clay place. So I have Sculpey and Fimo here. I don't like using sticky clay when making flowers. It is a nightmare. You can make it with any clay, but it is a nightmare because you are going to struggle and break your clay when you see later when we're going to press it and we're going to mold it. A lot of it is going to be done with your hands, and also if you have one, use it. It's handy. This is my first flower design, well, the one I designed first, not this specific one, but the flower I designed first. What I really like about this style is that it is it's not neat. It's just fun. It is all over the place. I'll show you closer. And you don't have to go specific. You don't have to go neat or work hard trying to get the petals in the right place, because I don't think that's how flowers work in nature either. And I just really enjoyed it because it's fun. I make the details with just a sharp little tool, so you can use a toothpick, you can use a needle, you can use whatever you can find. And then I'm going to use a teardrop shape. If you don't have a teardrop shape, you can use a circle. A lot of this is going to be molding your shape by hand in any way. So I'm going to start. If you want to follow along, I'm using porcelain for this one. I kind of like the semi-translucent effect. I don't think I need to condition this a lot. It's very hot today.
Lucky.
I must say this summer has not helped with my clay conditioning and not helped with my clay conditioning, because most of it is very soft, but some of it is like toffee. If you don't have a ball tool, you can use your roller. I tested it out today. It is possible. So I'm just going to roll it out. I use these as guides. They're the thinnest I have, because you don't want to roll out your clay too thick. You want to, I would say on a pasta or clay machine, about a 5 or a 7. 5, no, not 7, 5. 7 gets too thin. Don't worry about bubbles in your clay in flowers. You're going to mold it with your hand. It's not going to matter. Another thing you might want to do is keep a circle cutter next to you. This is going to help your mold your flower or keep it in shape in this dome shape. So we're gonna build it inside of it like that. And then we want to press out about 10 of these. This is the fun part about YouTube. You can just forward.
It also shows nicely the feature of your cutters that I love the most, which is that you can put them really close to each other.
Today I almost ran out of space and it was like so close. I was going really close. It was like the last bit, I was almost over the edge. I'm going to slide this off. You're going to see the teardrops are going to misform. Don't worry about it. Just go with it. It's fine. You just want it loose from the tile. It does stretch, already helps shaping your flower. The thicker you go with these, the bigger you will actually get your flower because you're going to stretch it a lot. Is everybody caught up so far? Just want to make sure that we are at the place here before I make the pattern now.
I think even if there is people that don't have their forms pushed out already, if you can have just one or two or so.
Oh yeah, of course, I can just show a few examples. I'm going to use this sharp tool. Like I said, you can use a needle, you can use a toothpick, any sharp tool. And then you're going to have fun. You're going to have fun. You don't have to go in detail. I literally just go rough very quickly. You might go over it again now when you stretch it, but it's just the initial going through. If you want to create little veins, and those go everywhere, so it doesn't have to be neat, and it can go quite quickly. You can just play. I even sometimes go different directions. It's good. It might look very thick now, but it's gonna get also very thinned out now. It's just to add that initial vein effect. And this is how they look, very rough. But trust the process.
The artist creed.
Yeah, trust the process. The next step is molding it. So I think just maybe opening for some questions or just waiting quickly because I don't want to let anybody miss this part. What do you think, Katrina?
We can do that. Is there anybody that does have any questions this far? All happy?
Okay.
Awesome. Cool. Is everybody comfortable with us going ahead? Do you want a few minutes to catch up with the texturing bit?
I mean, I can at least show an example of doing one petal because it's also going to take a bit for me. So while I am busy and they're catching up, they can ask questions.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I'm going to show one in my hand. Usually I use a sponge like this. You can get it from any baking place, but you can absolutely do it in your hand. I'm just going to work on that because me showing like this to you the whole time is going to be a bit of a struggle. But I'm going to try to show closely. I start by pinching the edges. So you'll see some of your veining goes away. You can just put some back later, but most of the deep veining at least stays. I'm just gonna pinch the edges. Now you can literally just keep doing that until it's as thin as you want it with your fingers. Just keep doing that. Or what I like to do is just use a bowl tool and just press it out thin. Just on the edges. You don't want to form the middle. You just want to press the edges. And then when the edges are as thin as you want, you go from the top here. From the top here, and you're just going to go in. So you can make that little goes into itself. And then it's going to add a few more veins here and there. And I'm going to press a few of the petals into each other. The edges, pinch the edges. So it looks more like a natural petal. And then I'm going to put it in my circle. Just let it hang over. I'm going to press just the tip down. And then it's just going to hang over like so. I will show more on the foam. I think you're going to see a lot better on the foam than in my hand. But please ask if you are lost. I'm gonna press the edges again. You will see the circle is just its initial molding. Because you do the edges get thinner, they get lighter than the bottom, and then eventually the bottom will help it keep its shape once it's nicely stacked over each other. And then you can remove the circle because you won't be able to bake with the plastic circle. Please don't bake with plastic.
If
See,
they do
this one
paper
is,
plastic, you're going to make a killing in cutters.
see, this was just by pinching. I didn't need the bowl tool. It was just by pinching the edges. And then all I do is pinch these pieces just to make them look a bit more organic. And then I just let it drape over the circle, and I press the tips over each other. You're not as hard as we thought it was.
Certainly looked hard for me. I'm quite surprised how much of the veining remains despite molding it quite a fair bit.
It's because I only mold the edges.
Yeah.
Like I only press here. I don't press in the middle. And then I vein quite deeply because I know I'm going to stretch it. So you just want that veining to last. And then you can go over it again. A lot of times I just quickly do the edges again. And just pinch it. Very randomly, even sometimes I would pinch like in the middle and the edges as well. Because you want that organic random shape. You just want to have fun with it. It doesn't matter, just eventually it will look like a flower. These I veined quite thick at the top, but I think they would make nice edges once I press them out. I used to do this with fondant, you know how sticky my hands are. Luckily there you use cornstarch. But you can't. Another pro tip for making flowers with clay, if you're going to use Fimo, that's why I wanted to talk clay. If you're going to use Fimo, don't use cornstarch. Because sometimes I use cornstarch with the bowl tool, else it can stretch it too far or break it. Fimo stops attaching to each other once you use cornstarch. So rather with Fimo, maybe use your hands. I mean, today I worked with Sculpey and I went crazy with the bowl tool on it without cornstarch, and it held its shape very well. But I have noticed that Fimo doesn't hold as well with the bowl tool. It does sometimes stretch or break a little bit. So rather use your hands. And
I think it's
sorry?
I think it's maybe because Sculpey behaves a little bit better under warmer conditions.
Yeah. Also, I prefer to use Fimo Professional when making flowers. Do not use soft. It will get too sticky, and it will. You can see the petals will. You want it to fall in a certain way, or you want it to just generically fall, not generically, randomly fall. Where if you use something like soft, they will start sticking to each other. Here I can, later you'll see we'll want to form them still a little bit, and then it sticks to each other. And then when you try to form your flower a bit more, it breaks or it rips. So this is my first 5. My first 5, I always let them lay out. The second 5, I'm going to press them more in. I'll show you. I'm going to make an S shape with the petal. Another clay I loved making flowers with was actually Sonnet. I was very shocked about how durable they were when I made flowers with it. So far for flowers, I'm voting Sculpey and Sonnet. So I'm going to make a little ish shape with the flower, the petal, you see. So bend it in a little bit more and then press it in. So it lays a little bit more off, and I'm going to put it where the two petals meet. I want to put it in the middle of that line, that line. So where they meet, I want this one to be centered.
So they're essentially off center on the bottom layer.
Yes.
Okay.
And look at your flower, adjust it like you want it. This is one of those things where look and feel comes in. Look at it, see if you like it, see if you think the petals at the right place, if it works. This is a lot of these techniques is your own feel. You feel like this is the right place, you want it to be, is it the right shape? You can adjust the petals. Make the flower yours. I don't think this is an actual biological flower that exists, so you have free reign of creativity over it. If it is a flower that exists, please tell me.
I think it looks like a double layer hibiscus flower, but without the stem. So it's a flower that doesn't exist, but almost.
I think you will always be close to a flower that exists.
They do come in such a wide variety.
I know. I mean, as long as you're putting petals against each other, I'm pretty sure it exists somewhere. I feel like this one's coming out better than this afternoon's one. It's always my second one. It's always better than my first one.
Comes down to practice, isn't it?
I don't know. I feel like I've practiced making flowers so many times, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this color now. And then my second one just turns out better than my first one. But it's okay. I like mismatched earrings.
Mm. I sometimes find that between colors they behave slightly differently. Like I've got a block of poppy souffle that it's just putty. I have to leach it if I want to work with it. And it behaves so different from other souffles. But it comes down to practicing with your clay and knowing how it's going to behave so that you can get it to do what you actually want it to do.
I think it also has a lot to do with the pigment, because some pigments are, you have to add more pigment than with other colors. And then a lot of the time, the pigment can actually distort your quality.
Mm.
And stay in your hands.
Just a update, we have 10 minutes left on this meeting.
On the meeting. Okay.
If we do cut off without properly saying goodbye, We will come back with the second session at 8 o'clock sharp. So if the meeting ends, just come back. To the other one, I mean. Like, wait until 8.
Scoops the flower in closer. Put him on a little pedestal. See?
Oh, it's beautiful.
And now we're just going to finish it off with just literally throwing in 3 little beads. Just my camera's off.
Yeah.
We back? We're back.
Yes, we're back.
Cool. So I'm just taking a piece of clay and making a little bead with it and then throwing it in there. I normally like to use 3, but you can literally use as many as how big your opening is and how it fits. And then just softly press it. Then I'm gonna take it out the little circle. So you'll see now it's not falling flat because it's a lot heavier at the bottom than it is at the top. And then I literally just like to take it out and very, very gently just pull some of the leaves. It just opens a little bit. And you'll see it's a lot more open.
So I have a question now. How do you bake it then? Do you just set it like that on a baking sheet or something?
Yes. Especially with a fan, I found that it makes my flowers go even to a more prettier shape.
Okay.
I even put it on a drying rack today, because you get those little racks in the air fryer. I actually use my air fryer to dry mine. So I actually put it inside one of the between the things, let it hang there, and it came out very nicely.
Okay, cool.
So you can even do that. How I also sometimes bake it is I use one of these baking shop, cheap. and then I just put my flour, like, because it's also a circle, and I just hang it over like so and bake it just like that. Or you can even use tin foil if you want to make it into a type of a bowl it can go into. So it is up to you. I've never had an issue putting it just like this in. It keeps its shape quite well because of the bottom being a lot heavier. Like, keep it in there. And it starts baking fast enough for it to keep its shape before it falls apart too much. Sorry. Now, for the last bit of magic, I use this pearlescent food coloring. You can use mica powder like normal people. I just have a lot of this left from working with fondant, and it works well. And an old eyeshadow brush works the best for dusting. Paint brushes I don't feel works very well for dusting. but I love using an eyeshadow brush. I actually got this one in a random palette. It works.
It is still the brush type though, it's not that cushion type, right?
Yeah, bristles.
Yes.
Eyeshadow brushes bristles are a lot softer. So, sorry. I have a lot of these on hand. Even these, they're called a buffing brush. They work very well with putting on mica powders because they go a lot deeper into the clay, I feel, and your mica powders doesn't go off then. So they really buff them in. And I've realized that then they don't actually go off your hands when they're finished baking. You don't sit with a bunch of glitter on your hands. This makes a big difference. I don't know if you can see it.
It's a bit hard to see over the over the zooms, but I'm sure we can see a bit better with a photo afterwards.
I will try to take a photo tomorrow morning when the lighting is better, I think.
Yeah.
And then post it because
Cool. Janine is here, so maybe you can answer her question about the backs of the flower.
okay. I don't do a lot with my backs. I usually put one of these in, if you can see it. I would turn it around and I would actually press that part inside of the flower, and then I would put an extra piece of clay over it. Don't know if you can see. I think she wants to ask a question. And then my other option was, let's remove them, that I did was these, where I actually put a little hook inside and then just hung it.
How does your back look then? If you can just turn it over. Just bring it a bit
Sorry.
down.
Try and fix it here.
Putting you on the spot, yeah?
Yeah, technical difficulties again. There we go. If you bake it, it normally becomes just flat.
I can see where it was resting there.
Yeah. So this is just this type of flower that does that. But I put it, you don't, because of how you put it in your ear, you don't actually see the back. It actually hangs like these. It hangs against your skin. So I've never had the problem where I could see the back. These are the same. These are the same as the white ones. I actually just made this with a copper, and I also pressed it in, as you can see, and then I put clay over it. But I actually double baked this. I press it in and then take it out, bake the flour, and then put the clay over and bake it again. This is Cernit. This double bakes fine. I think it's just dust that normally struggles with double baking. I'm not sure. What was your experience, Katrina?
With dust, the lighter colors tend to discolor at the drop of a hat with a double bake. Even if you're trying to keep to a lower temperature, they don't look the same as your other colors. So if you have like two different components and you double bake the one and you don't double bake the other, you can see the difference. But it's mostly on lighter colors that happens. But I think dust is a very good beginner's clay. Once you start getting good with polymer clay, it's better to move on to something like Fimo or Sculpey or Cernit or anything except dust. Or Clayology. Clayology is also, I can't deal with it.
Why I actually press this in, I don't know if you know how these look, but they have a little circle at the back, is because you will see this will make a top like that. If you press it in, it will flatten it a bit, and then you don't have to glue it because you're gonna put something over it, and then it doesn't like hang. It doesn't, your flower doesn't fall. Because if it's just in the little hook there, it tends to hang weird. So I put clay till here to, it's there, it's not going anywhere. So it's just for structure, and it also hangs a lot better on your ear. So it hangs really comfortable. It doesn't put too much weight because the weight isn't hanging forward. So that is how I fasten it. If you find a better way, let me know. But also, like I said, once you take it out and you do bake it, this part flattens. This part will flatten a lot more, which is nice, especially if your back ones flatten a little bit. And then it will make, as you can see, this going outer shape. I don't know if you can see as well with the copper. Maybe I should show you like this.
I'm sitting and thinking maybe an experiment one can do is to try and use those floral cutters with the many leaves and just smooth that over the back so that it's like a flower's second dress, if I can call it that. I don't know what it's supposed to be called. But then it would also have another effect if you want to maybe put a hole through a leafy to have a hanging kind of thing or something. Just an idea.
I've just pressed that hook I showed right into here. It worked really well to do the this hanging effect.
Yeah, the eye pin.
Yeah.
Cool. Shall we do the second flower?
Yeah. I can find him. There he is. Sorry. Put him on display so we can see what we're doing. For the second flower, I'm using 2 circles. So you can see these are smaller than those, and I am just using 4 and 2. And for this one, I'm going to use Sculpey. Please excuse all the cat scratches on my arm. I have kittens. Note clay cat. See how hot it is. Sculpey is already soft.
Yes, it's like putty.
Luckily not putty yet, but
putty in comparison to mine.
Yeah, I really, especially with the faux stone, I don't condition as much in the summer. It's bad. For this one, I don't know how many people have a bowl tool, like I showed. That is my preferred preference, but you, like I said, you can also use your roller. I did test it today; it worked out quite well. If you see me keep picking up my clay, I just realized that this is actually like a default thing I learned when I was working with fondant for years, that you have to keep turning it. So you don't have to do this. This isn't going to affect your clay in any way. This is just my personal thing.
I think it's a good thing though, because then you get an even roll. Because even with mine, I just turn my roller instead of my clay.
Yeah, but then eventually your clay starts to.
Mm.
You do get a very round effect though. So if you're going for that, because we of course did the circle thing because you have to throw it over a cake now. So I would literally now throw it over a cake. Not
Please
this
don't
one.
do it
Though.
with clay.
I was just about to say not this one though. Don't not recommended.
Would you need fewer petals for this flower?
Yes, 4 and 2.
Okay, so two
Yeah.
small ones and
So
4
4
large
big
ones.
ones. Yeah, I did show that. So it's just these 4.
Cool.
Right, 4 and 2.
Awesome. It was maybe when I was looking what Rio was chasing.
So again, I think I moved my camera now. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
We're going to pinch the edges, but this time I'm going to take it a bit further. So this one, you want the edges to be even thinner.
Almost to the point where they start flaring.
Yes, and right at this point, I'm going to keep thick. I'm not going to I'm not going to mold there, just because you want that point. If you do get fingerprints on your clay, what I usually do after I've baked, but you can do it before you bake, but then you risk distorting it a little bit, is I just take a bit of nail polish remover and smooth it out. Not acetone, nail polish remover.
Sometimes I find the fingerprint makes a nice effect though, especially if you're going for rose type of look. Then that tiny bit of texture just does that extra pop.
I just want to quickly show why I want to use a bowl tool with this one. Because you want your things to be thinner, you really want to go to that edge. You can see it's very much at the edge. So I'm pressing quite hard and with the big part, and I'm flaring it out. You want it nice and flared out. See how nice that effect makes. Then this is one I want everybody to take a close look at, because this is going to make that nice rounded effect. You kept going out, then now you're going to go from the edge and you're going to go in. And you just go over it in. I love what it does, these thick lines. I think it makes a really nice effect. So you're going to just go over it, but you want to go in. So you see it's this dome that you're creating.
Look at this way.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the bottom, that's the thick part, and I'm going to pinch it in. It's almost like a shell. I'm going to press that in, and I'm going to go to my circle. I'm just going to lay them in like so. And then just like I did now, I'm just going to press it on the tile so it stays there. Start with the other one. So essentially this one, because it has a lot less petals, will go faster. But you're also going to create a bigger flower. But it also depends, of course, on what cutter or what size cutter you used for the first one, because the ones I made now is also smaller than the ones I made with this one. So someone pointed out they used a heart for theirs, and this is what I actually used for this one the first time. So you can go crazy with what cutter you use. It's this the general forming of the petals. I think that's what makes flowers actually so comfortable for me to make, because I can make it with anything. I don't need something specific to make them with. I can really let my creativity go crazy. And then let me show this closer. I'm going to very layer it over each other like so. So it's falling over each other, almost quarter to a halfway, lapping over each other, and then pressing it in. If that
Almost
makes
so that the
sense.
tips comes together kind of thing.
Yes, almost like you would when you would form a rose, but you wanted to lay over instead of pressing over. Something we actually used to do is put petals like this, like the circles, into Ziploc bags. And then you would take a roller and you would roll over the edges, and the Ziploc bags would actually help create that shape.
I think with polymer clay, it will just maybe be difficult to peel off that thin piece of edges.
I think then you would work maybe with cling wrap.
Okay.
But that is like old school technique before the intense petal cutters and all the veining tools and everything was available. As you can see, I'm also constantly, while building the flower, adjusting. So it's really look and feel and see what you want in your flower. What do you think? Do you like how it looks? And then adjusting the petals accordingly. In that way, you're really making your flower your flower. Sorry, a bit loud.
I find it interesting how much handling these bigger petals can actually handle.
And they are a little bit thicker. These especially are a bit thicker than what I would usually make flowers. So, but it's for the handling. Like I want it to be, I don't want to say messy, but I want it to be that roughness. So I make the petals a bit thicker, and then you can really handle them, and you can really make the edges very thin and rough. So they have a lot of more of an organic shape.
Mm.
And I also think that's a lot what's in trend, more of a rustic look, especially with weddings. And I always think these flowers are very much connected to like weddings and matric farewells events. Although I wear mine anywhere, but that's me.
You're fabulous like that.
I'm just fabulous like that. Trying to distract from unwashed hair, you know.
It's a good strategy.
Use your earrings. The smaller petals I'm doing exact same thing with. So pressing in. And then I want to put it half in the middle so they come together as shells. Or like looking like a shell. Everybody with me so far? Great. I've got one head nod also. Another thing I like about this rustic style flower is you do not take forever with it. You can make something really beautiful in one night. A few of them actually in one night. What I found with roses and very detailed, those very thin, like you just said, those very thin petals, is you take days. I took 3 days once making a bunch of them. Because they're very finicky, and then you have to make 12 petals, like I actually discussed with you today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this one is together like so. All of them are in. Yeah. And then just like the previous flower, I'm also going to make beads. For this one, I've actually made 5 beads because it's a lot more open flower than the other one. I love the colors you can actually get pot with the flowers. Like I use the copper with the brown, and I use the rose gold with the pink.
I still want to try those color shifting pigments.
The chrome
Yeah.
pigment. Yeah, I like them. I actually have a hollow one that I
Wow.
love. But I have so little of it, I couldn't get myself to actually use it on a flower. I very lightly put it on these black dangly ones, but I don't think you'd be able to see it in this light unless you actually, usually I use my phone's flashlight. And then just like now I'm just gonna toss them in there and then move them where I want them to be. I very accidentally made texture on the other one today. So I'm kind of just going with it, making tiny dots on them just with my pressing it like that. That. So the
Just
texture
adds.
looks good. Yeah, because the petals don't have textures, now the middle has texture.
Yeah.
And then we dust. Didn't tell you the reason I dusted that one today was because, like white clay likes to do, it had a bunch of lint in it.
It always does. You can take it off afterwards, but I think with these flowers, it's such a pain because you really have to like go at it.
Yeah, I did try to take it off beforehand when I rolled it out. I actually used nail polish remover and took most of it off, but then I still saw after the petals, nope, still there. So I decided to use some pearl pigment, and no one's the wiser.
One day we will afford clean rooms and hazmat suits to work with white.
Not if you have cats. They will find a way. I'm just pinching some of the edges now. Mine I'm purely pinching so it will fit with the other one a bit more because I see I didn't pinch the edges as much as the previous one. There you go.
Stunning.
You have a flower. This one went a lot quicker.
I think it's because there's lots of less texturing and things.
Yes, and less petals. So I kept it.
I just got the 10-minute notification, so just putting that out there.
Anybody have questions? We have a nice 10 minutes for questions.
I did see Mariska's flower was a little bit more flat. Do you maybe know what happened there?
She did explain that she had uneven rolling out of her clay, so the top ones were a lot thicker than the bottom ones. And with these flowers, you want to make sure, especially here at the top, your petals are very thin because you want it to weigh down at the bottom. That's why I say don't thin out the bottom part. Keep that small piece so that it can actually weigh it to the middle. So it can make that, you know what I mean, if you understand. And that's also why I say form it in something. So because if you form it without anything, initially the petal's going to lie down like this, or like these. It lies down because I just did it against the tile, and then these go more out because now they're on top of those. So I like to form it in something. I mean, I put this one in even a square shape. You just want it to go in from the bottom and then lay over. And I think that is most of the time what happens is there's nothing to, you want gravity to work with you, not against you.
Yeah, beat it into submission.
Yeah, these flowers and gravity, they struggle. So you have to, when you make your petals, be very, even the middle, I keep the top, the middle, I try to keep also like a medium thickness. So you have to work like very thick at the bottom, medium thickness in the middle, and then at the outer layer, very thin. And then like draping it over and pressing it against each other. And once the drape is like this, I mean, now I can take it out and it will be fine because this point is nice and thick.
I think it also settles a bit when it can sit inside of a cutter and let the heat that it was holding from your hands go, so that when you take it out, it's not as soft.
I think that is a very good point. I didn't even think of that. But building on that, if you feel like in the oven it's gonna go droopy, put it in the fridge with your cutter for a little while and then bake it. So the clay actually just hardens in position and then bake it with that. So
also, if you find that your hands are a bit too hot and the clay keeps sticking or something like that, what I found that what works fantastic for me is to have a bowl with ice water next to me, just to cool my hands down and then carry on working, because I work on a very small scale. It's a problem.
I understand. I like working on small scales, but it can get very annoying.
Fun. No. The word you're looking for is fun.
Oh, no, it's very fun, especially if you see what you create. Like I love creating. I always tell you I do this to myself. That I would make earrings and then I would go in like a complete detail in an earring. So I would make a whole snow mountain with little trees and everything, go into detail, small detail, and then later, like, great, the first one's beautiful. Now I forget I have to make another one.
Let's make a different scene for the second one.
Next
cool.
time.
Is there any questions from anybody? Everybody happy?
Was it easy? Was it comfortable to follow? I'm very sorry if I was a little awkward. Not used to.
You were fine, honestly.
As long as I was clear and everybody understood me.
I wasn't even making it. I'm confident to make it myself now.
And maybe next time we'll go for something more difficult.
We
can try our hand at succulents.
It sounds interesting. We can do it next week. Are you volunteering?
You're doing next week. I have an example.
Oh, they're too cute.
But we're gonna need 5 hours. So maybe not. Okay, try us in our next lesson.
It's looking like it's going to be embroidery floral, so I'm excited. It's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm also excited. I love those.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you everybody for joining. I sure had a lot of fun. And we'll see you again hopefully soon.
Thanks.
Cool.
Bye. Bye.